Hey guys, Pretzelman 945 here. Welcome back to another video. Um, so the idea for this video came to me just now because I was um having a discussion with someone I'm in a Discord server with about the spoilers for the most recent One Piece chapter. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. Not the spoilers for this most recent chapter, but One Piece spoiler culture in general and why I hate it, really, why I hate it. Um, uh, but also the irony that I am also a part of the problem. That's what I'm gonna be talking about today. Um, and I mean, I said it plainly. Like, I think now, what do I mean when I say the culture around One Piece spoilers? Basically the idea that and this applies to probably a lot of different series within their respective fandoms that like discuss each new chapter and like the nature of manga chapters being pirated, and so like people know the contents way beforehand and stuff like that. um it's just a natural thing that exists, and but this is like especially so with One Piece. Like One Piece has the biggest amount of this probably than any other anime fandom realistically, because of the fact that One Piece is still an ongoing story after um almost 30 years, like 29 years. It's still an ongoing story. It is a massive story and it has a massive audience, and therefore it is going to have the biggest amount of this kind of spoiler culture thing happening. And what I mean by spoiler culture is people that are the leakers that share the information of the chapter to everybody and people discuss it. Um and you know, I this as much as it kind of sucks that this is like a sort of realistic thing, that's not really the tragic part about like what I really don't like about it. Obviously, if leak here and spoiler culture was not really a thing, then this wouldn't be a problem, but you could say that about any any kind of media that happens to get leaked, take video game reveals for example. Um but what I really don't like about One Piece spoiler culture is that um like I feel like I see, and there was an example of this in the discussion I was just having on Discord. It's like people what I really hate about One Piece fans in terms of spoiler culture is this whole idea of they read the chapter summary and go like, mid chapter, Oda's selling, Oda's making mid arc, Oda is doing mid stuff, chapter mid, just based on reading the summary. And it drives me crazy because I have a very simple opinion when it comes to this, and it's that you cannot judge a manga chapter just based on a screenshot of text about the content of the chapter. You have to actually read the chapter because manga is a visual medium. It relies on, you know, manga's Japanese comics. Manga, the word manga literally directly translated into English, comic book. What are comics? Books with visuals. You read the story and experience the visuals. You do not read manga by just looking at a wall of text. that's not how reading manga works. And I get so tired of seeing One Piece fans, and this is just like reason number 1 gazillion of why the One Piece fandom sucks. And I would know because I'm in the One Piece fandom and it sucks. But this is like uh this is like reason 1 gazillion why the One Piece fans are they just suck because a lot of them will read a wall of text and say that they read a manga chapter. That's not how it works. You just you that's not how it works. That's not how it works. And I get so tired of One Piece fans that do this, like just judging a chapter by only a summary of the spoilers and not even reading the chapter itself. Because look, I'll be honest, like Oda's a legendary mangaka, obviously. I have issues with his art style at certain points. I think there are some points where he does incredible art, and I think that has generally been the trend for a lot of Elbaf. But some of the panels in like Wano and Egghead, they felt a bit cramped to me, and the drawings would feel a bit messy at times. Like I do personally think that Oda can sometimes have some very small qualms with his art. But that's like I don't know, maybe 10% of the time that I have a problem with that kind of thing. The other like that's even less than that, more like 5%, I would say. Like the other 95%, Oda's art is great. He has a very distinctive art style that, and generally good paneling, which is fun to read. And you experience none of that by just reading a summary of a chapter. And unfortunately, I'm not really much better myself. And this is more generally directed to um why I think that spoiler culture kind of sucked in general. Like, it's hard for me to keep up with. Like, One Piece has a very inconsistent release schedule, and what I mean by that is that, like, sometimes it's sometimes it's a few chapters for a few weeks, sometimes it's like one, and then a week gap, and then two more, and then like 2 weeks, and then another chapter, and then another break week, and then another chapter. It's like very inconsistent. Um, and that's no fault on Oda because, like, mangaka are overworked. We know this, but like because of the fact that One Piece chapters release inconsistently nowadays, it's hard for me to keep up. So what I end up doing is I read spoiler summaries and then I end up reading the chapters in batches. But it's a system that works for me. Um, it's not the best situation, obviously, but it's a system that works for me. But what I don't do is judge a chapter until I have actually read it. I never judge a chapter only based on the spoilers, and I think that this is something that so many One Piece fans need to learn to do. Because again, you cannot read a manga chapter just by looking at a wall of text. Um, that rant over. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.